Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breech coming to you with a little voice crack right there for you. This is a video response to FreakinYaYa88. We've had a little video war going back and forth. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this with some good, deep wrestling discussion in both videos, and the comments that I got off of both videos were really good as well. So we're gonna try this out for round number two. Listen to Yaya's response and just he asked me a couple questions. I'm going to give him a couple questions, and we will drag this on from there. When I did make my video, I did not go over all of the things that we talked about on Twitter. I felt the video dragged on a little bit, going near 11 minutes. If I can kill kayfabe for you, I did make notes, and I did plan on talking about the last two things, but I will talk about those in this one, and hopefully we can get through this really fast. But I was really sort of disappointed that he didn't go over the whole Bret Hart thing. I think that was the one main part of the thing that I thought he was going to go over the most, because getting into wrestling discussions over Skype and on other things with Miguel, or talking to him live in person the few times that we've hung out, I know that there's three people in wrestling that I know that he will go over and beyond to defend. One is Hulk Hogan, one is Bret the Hitman Hart, and for some reason the third one is Bam Bam Bigelow. I know that he loves all three of those guys, and we've gone in real deep things. So everybody has this one wrestler they will defend. If you don't know from watching last videos, mine is Hulk Hogan. I will defend him for life. But to start this off, the first part of his video was about the Yokozuna match from the King of the Ring. I know that if I was Hulk Hogan and I knew that I have been Vince's man for 9 years, WrestleMania 1 through WrestleMania 9. He has put me in his back pocket, and he has trusted me. He tried to build a WrestleMania without me for WrestleMania 9 in Las Vegas. He still had to call me up. I still had to show up to do the Money Inc. versus the Hulkamaniacs, or the Mega Maniacs, whatever their name was. Brutus Beefcake, I wasn't supposed to be a main part of the show, but I ended up leaving with the WWF Championship, because I'm Hulk Hogan. I'm the biggest star that Vince has ever created, and I honestly think that he's a little bit scared to go off in the next direction with this. So Hogan shows up to the King of the Ring after beating Yokozuna. He does the job with a big fireball, but he doesn't do a clean job. He has to do the big fireball ending, and make this bigger than it was. And the last time we see him leaving, before he goes off to make Thunder in Paradise to become a big TV movie star, we see him rubbing his eyes. I think what Hogan knew, and I think what the booking team knew, and I think why everybody put everybody in this position, was WrestleMania 10. WrestleMania 10, Madison Square Garden was going to be a big one. Was Vince really going to go off and push these new stars? He went on to create Lex Luger and make him a main eventer. Bret Hart, everybody knows how this went down with the finish of the Royal Rumble, and then you had the tournament. To make Yokozuna fight twice. He ended up having to fight Luger in the first round, then he fought Bret Hart. But another thing about the whole big thing with Bret Hart was that I really wanted to make a discussion about this in this video. Was that I went through how Bret Hart wasn't a big draw as a world champion, and that's why his whole streak ended, and we never got the Hogan versus Bret Hart thing, and Hogan didn't want to put him over. Why would Hogan want to put over somebody that was such a flop on their first one? Yeah, he could have helped him out a little bit, but there was a good chance that maybe Bret Hart was never going to be that world title guy, and why would Hogan want to defend somebody like that? But also, Bret Hart went on to win his second championship that night at WrestleMania 10, but we all know that it was not supposed to be that way. Lex Luger had already done tapings holding the WWF Championship, wearing it out to the ring, doing interviews. I don't think he wrestled a match. I think that was all he really did, was just did an entrance, came out, did an interview, and so on and so forth. Did a lot of shoots with the title for the WWF magazine, so on and so forth. But Lex Luger ran his mouth in a bar, and that is why Bret Hart can thank Lex Luger for becoming that championship guy the second time. But I think that Vince was scared. That Hogan thought Vince was scared, and WrestleMania 10. How can you get to the 10th WrestleMania, a big monumental occasion, and not have Hulk Hogan? Well, we saw it. WrestleMania 10 didn't feel like WrestleMania. WrestleMania 10, I don't think is anybody's top 10. It does have the big match between Razor and Shawn Michaels. but it just doesn't have the big feel of WrestleMania to me. It is all right, it's okay, but it's not what the other ones are. Um, and then from there, we jump over to WrestleMania 6, Ultimate Warrior. You know, he says that, you know, why did Hogan have to kick out after the 3 count? 1, 2, 3, kick out. It's just a big thing. You know, he makes it a big thing that, you know, Ultimate Warrior delivered the big splash, boom, on the Hulk Hogan. And he should have taken it because, you know, it was Ultimate Warrior's devastating move. He was going to become the champion. He was going to have his arms raised in the middle of the ring, and he was become the flagship guy until he decided that he wanted a bigger pay cut, or a, you know, a payday from SummerSlam '91, and he held up Vince McMahon for the money. But right before the big splash, Hulk Hogan delivered the big boot and the leg drop. The same thing that Hogan had won 5 other WrestleManias with. Well, he didn't win a WrestleMania 4. But, I mean, he was the biggest star. He's won every single match he's ever been in with those 2 moves back to back. You know, he let Warrior kick out of that. I believe that was the first guy to ever do it. I don't even think Andre got to kick out of the big splash. Or, I apologize, the big boot. But Warrior did. So I think that was just payback for it, as well as what everybody thought was going to be probably the next WrestleMania. If, you know, Ultimate Warrior didn't become Ultimate Warrior, I think that would have been planned to have the next Ultimate Showdown at the next WrestleMania. Then we go on to Flair versus Hogan at WrestleMania 8, and we talked about how, you know, he said that, you know, more than likely we should have had that match. That's the dream match that everybody wanted to see. Flair, Mr. WCW, Hogan, Mr. WBF. We finally get to see it. No more of this, you know, what would happen, what would happen. He says that, you know, Vince should have gone to Sid and just said, Sid, I told you that's the way it was going to be, but just fuck off because we want to make this money. The Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, Sid Psycho Sid, whatever it was, isn't the Sid that was, you know, basically, this wasn't after the scissors. This wasn't after the stabbing incident with Arn Anderson. You know, Sid was a hot commodity. Sid got to leave WCW because his contract ended. This was after he became a member of the Four Horsemen, even though Flair doesn't want to say that he was in. Flair wants to say that he was one of the worst horsemen. He was a horseman. He was a main eventer. He wrestled against Sting. I think that's the match with the bogus Stings, and it didn't turn out well for him. But still, Sid was one of the hottest faces in wrestling at that time, and for Vince to be able to steal this guy away from WCW was a very, very big deal. And even though most people turned on Sid because everybody wanted to have this Flair versus Hogan dream match, and we got this Sid versus Hogan match, and then we got Macho Man versus Flair, which is one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. But people still like to point, and they're like, I wanted this match, even though they got this one that was great. Um, you know, this wasn't the whole thing. Like, you know, if this was after the scissors, you know, Vince could have easily gone up to Sid and been like, you know what, I said this was what's going to be. This is in your contract, but you're not going to get it. Because basically, you know, the later Psycho Sid with the scissors, you know, WCW only took this guy back when they had to. It wasn't like they really wanted to have this guy back. You know, that back then, you know, or in the future, Vince would hold all the cards and be able to tell Sid what to do. But I mean, if he wants to void, if Vince was to void Sid's contract, they have a big problem there for you. And then also WrestleMania 8, you can't put all this on Psycho Sid because you got to put a lot of it on the ending being fucked up, mainly for the reason of Papa Shango running out there so late. And the whole point of this match was to bring back the Ultimate Warrior at the end, because this was really supposed to be Hogan's retirement match, and this was going to be the passing of the torch to Warrior, because Hogan was supposed to leave, but once again, Ultimate Warrior couldn't hold the ball, and they had to call Hogan back to fix the problem, and now we're at 9 minutes, and I haven't talked about the damn Brock thing again, so I apologize, but look, the reason why Hogan did the job for Brock Lesnar was to build up Brock Lesnar for The Rock. Was it a big deal for Hogan to ask to, you know, be the guy that finally defeated Brock Lesnar? No. Hogan should have defeated Brock Lesnar later on. Why? Because who's the first guy to beat Brock Lesnar? Big Show. The same Big Show that was in the ring on Raw crying and, you know, from the big thing. Big Show is a guy that is a huge specimen that came over from WCW that should have been the world, but for some reason Vince has never made him to be what he should have been. And you know, the whole thing that they were taking the title off of Brock Lesnar anyways because they wanted to put him on the chase for WrestleMania. He wasn't going to be the champion all the way through. Somebody had to beat this guy, and why not Hogan over Big Show? Big Show didn't matter. All that happened was Big Show got to the next pay-per-view. He wrestled Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, you know, Brock Lesnar should have seen the heel turn coming when Angle had to come to him and ask for his help to defeat Big Show because Brock Lesnar had been suspended by Stephanie McMahon, and Angle had to ask for his help to beat the guy. He should have seen the heel turn coming because they were setting up Angle versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar went on the chase. They win the Royal Rumble to get his shot against Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle spent the next few months in the Team Angle versus Team Lesnar feud. Finally, Lesnar got to his WrestleMania, got his big WrestleMania moment where he did the he finally delivered the F5 after landing on his face after jumping off the top rope. But I mean, basically, Brock Lesnar wasn't in any of the plans for the next few months. It was Angle versus Benoit at the Royal Rumble, and then they had the tag match for No Way Out. So somebody was going to take the table off of him, and you might as well set up, you know, Hogan title match where he could have put the belt on Angle the next month because Hogan versus Angle had good matches on SmackDown, and it was believable if these guys were to be able to get in the ring. Basically, WCW created control. You basically said it in your whole video, was that, you know, Hogan asked for it. Hogan asked for it because he held all the cards. He was the free agent on the market. Ted Turner gave Eric Bischoff a job of being the president of WCW, who got to, you know, basically hold all the money and pay out all these guys. And Bischoff got the job, and he didn't know what the fuck to do. He asked for the job, and he got it. And you know, he had to make Ted Turner happy. He had, you know, to get ratings. That's how you make Ted Turner's happy, and he had to go out and get the biggest star possible. Hogan, sitting on the sidelines, you know, he's gonna ask for anything in the world. He could ask for, you know, the Brock Lesnar contract that he asked for on Raw. He could ask for the private jet, this, that, and the other, and creative control. You have to ask for creative control when you're a star like Hulk Hogan. Basically, what if he would have got there and Bischoff would have had him doing jobs to every single members of the Four Horsemen or Barry Horowitz or somebody else? You know, he's a big star. Vince McMahon created him. He's going to new waters where he doesn't know what's going on down there. And basically the inmates are running the asylum because a guy like Eric Bischoff got put in control who's never been anything more than a TV commentator. And that's what WCW's problems were. So you can't pin all of WCW on Hulk Hogan and his creative control clause. And it wasn't as many guys out there that you think had creative control. I think it was just Hogan and Bret Hart were the only two guys that had it. Guys like the Outsiders, Hall and Nash, they were able to enforce creative control when they had to, but it wasn't in their contract because they basically said, "Hey, we're gonna pack our bags and leave," and you know, everybody in WCW knew that NWO was the hottest commodity out there, and that they were to throw a pity party thing and not want to go out there and do a job like Kevin Nash, it would be a big blow to their pay-per-views when Kevin Nash is sitting at home having fake heart attacks and doesn't want to do the job to the Giant. So basically, Hulk Hogan, you are the greatest wrestler alive. I don't care what you've done. You will make mistakes, or you have made mistakes in the past, but Stevie Breech is here to defend you through thick and thin. If anybody else has any other things for the Hulkster, bring them on this way.